You're hiking on a hot afternoon. You step over a log without checking the other side, and something strikes your ankle so fast you don't even see it. But there's a part of this that should actually worry you. Some of the common knowledge you've heard your whole life about what to do next could make things worse. Cutting the wound open, tying something tight above the bite, packing it in ice, sucking the venom out with your mouth. One of those things you were taught is a genuine mistake. Maybe more than one. So today I'm walking you through what actually works, how to avoid a bite in the first place, what a snake is really telling you when it's coiled up in front of you, and exactly what to do in the minutes after a bite happens. And stick around because later I'm telling you about a man who got bitten by a snake's head after he'd already cut it off. I'm not joking. Let's get into it. Just 2 numbers and then we move on. Every year in the US, somewhere around 7,000 to 8,000 people get bitten by a venomous snake. And on average, about 5 people die from it. That's a very low death rate. But here's the thing that number hides. A meaningful share of survivors end up with lasting damage. Tissue loss, nerve damage, sometimes amputation. So you'll probably survive isn't the same as you'll be fine. Outcomes depend on a mix of things, which species, how much venom, where the bite lands, and importantly, how fast you get real medical care. So the goal of this video isn't just don't die. It's come out the other side in one piece. And that starts with knowing exactly what you're dealing with. You don't need to memorize 100 species. For most people in the US, the medically important snakes fall into 4 broad groups. Rattlesnakes, found nearly everywhere, from desert to mountains. They've got heat-sensing pits near their eyes, basically built in night vision so they can strike accurately in total darkness. Quick myth check. They don't always rattle a warning first. Sometimes there's none. Copperheads, responsible for more bites than any other US snake, mainly because of camouflage. Their skin looks exactly like dead leaves, and instead of fleeing, they freeze. People step on them without ever seeing them. The relatively good news. Bites are painful and swell a lot, but serious complications are uncommon. Cottonmouths, found around swamps, lakes, and slow rivers in the southeast. You've probably heard they aggressively chase people through the water. Hold that thought, that one's actually a myth, and I'll come back to it. Coral snakes, the rarest and arguably the sneakiest. Here's what makes them dangerous. The bite barely hurts. Minimal swelling. You could genuinely think you're okay. But the venom works on your nervous system, not your tissue, and symptoms can take hours to show up. Then suddenly you're dealing with drooping eyelids, slurred speech, and in severe cases, trouble breathing. The scariest bite is the one that doesn't feel like a big deal at first. Okay, now picture this. You're on a trail. You round a bend, and there it is, coiled up, 10 feet away, watching you. What do you actually do? Your instinct is going to tell you to either bolt or freak out. Do neither. Instead, stop moving forward. Give it real distance, not a step or two, several body lengths worth of space. Then back away slowly along the same path you came in on. No sudden movements. Quick thing most people don't know. Snakes don't have external ears, so yelling at it isn't going to do much. But they are sensitive to vibration through the ground. So heavy stomping or fast movement can register as a threat. Calm and slow is the move. And if it happens to be right there, close enough that you didn't see it until your foot was already near it, the safest instinct is usually to stay still and avoid sudden motion rather than bolt, since sudden movement is what tends to provoke a strike. Then retreat calmly once you have a clear path. Most of the time, if you give it space and don't corner it, the snake wants nothing to do with you either. It's not hunting you. It's trying to avoid you. But let's be honest, that's the version where everything goes right. So let's talk about the version where it doesn't. Okay, this is the part to actually remember, because panic makes people forget everything. Step 1, get away from the snake. A few steps back. Can strike more than once. Step 2, stay as calm and still as you can. I know that's a big ask right after being bitten. But the more you move around, the more you circulate venom through your system and the worse things get. Sitting down, staying calm, and letting help come to you is genuinely one of the most protective things you can do. Step 3, call 911. Don't drive yourself. People have lost consciousness or had seizures while trying to get themselves to a hospital. Let someone else handle transport. Step 4. Keep the limb loosely immobilized at roughly heart level, and try not to move it more than necessary. You're not trying to raise it up or force it down. You're trying to keep it still and stable while you wait for real medical care. Once you're actually at the hospital, doctors may reposition it differently as they manage swelling. But in the field, still and steady is the goal. Step 5. Remove anything tight. Rings, watches, snug sleeves, boots. The area is about to swell a lot, and anything constrictive left on becomes an accidental tourniquet as it does. Step 6. Wash it gently if you can, and cover it loosely. Nothing dramatic. Those 6 steps are the priorities. Beyond that, one more thing worth doing while you're waiting for help. If you've got a pen, draw a line around the edge of the swelling and write the time next to it. Repeat every so often. It's not life-saving on its own, but it gives doctors a visual timeline of how fast things are progressing, which can shape their treatment decisions once you're in their hands. And skip trying to catch or kill the snake for identification. A photo from a safe distance is fine if you happen to get one, but you don't need the snake itself, and going after it is how a lot of second bites happen. Now, here's where it gets interesting, because some of what people believe about the next steps isn't just unhelpful. It's actively dangerous. You've probably seen those little pump kits marketed exactly for this. Clamp it over the bite, pull the venom out. In testing, suction removed only a tiny fraction of the venom, nowhere near enough to matter clinically. Meanwhile, the suction itself can damage the tissue underneath, sometimes causing more localized tissue injury than the bite alone would have. So, into the trash, not into your first aid kit. Here's the next one, and it sounds logical, which is exactly why so many people still believe it. The idea: tie something tight above the bite to stop venom from spreading. Here's the problem. Trapping the venom in one place concentrates its tissue-damaging effects right there, raising the odds of serious local injury. And when that tourniquet eventually comes off, that trapped venom can move into your system all at once, which can cause a dangerous drop in blood pressure. Cutting the wound open to let it out and icing the area cause similar problems: bleeding and infection risk in the first case, frostbite-type tissue damage in the second, on top of whatever the venom's already doing. You'd think fighting back would help. It doesn't, it just gives you 2 problems instead of 1. The theme across almost every one of these old remedies: they all try to physically fight the venom yourself. And that's not how this works. Current clinical guidance for treating North American pit viper bites is blunt about it. Suction, cutting, tourniquets, ice, and electric shock all get flagged as offering no real benefit, and several of them actively make outcomes worse. Once venom has actually been injected and is causing symptoms, antivenom is the specific treatment used to neutralize it, which brings me to that story I promised you. News reports from a case in Texas a few years back describe a homeowner doing yard work who came across a rattlesnake and killed it with a shovel, cutting off its head. A little while later, he reached down to move the head, and according to those reports, it turned and bit him, delivering a serious dose of venom. So how does a severed head even do that? Snakes are cold-blooded, meaning their cells run on far less oxygen than ours. A severed head can retain reflexive striking ability for a surprisingly long time after death, sometimes reportedly over an hour. The brain isn't controlling that strike anymore. It's pure reflex. And this is where common sense completely leaves the building, because most people's instinct after killing a snake is, okay, now it's safe. It isn't. Reports on this case describe a serious hospital course, an extended ICU stay, a large amount of antivenom, and lasting effects afterward. I won't put exact numbers on it here because those specifics deserve their own source check, but the core lesson holds regardless of the exact figures. A dead or decapitated snake is not automatically safe to handle. Leave it. Don't move it by hand. Call someone. That's the extreme case. But there's a myth around baby snakes that's arguably done more damage over the decades, just quietly. You've probably heard this one. Baby rattlesnakes are actually more dangerous than adults because they haven't learned to control their venom yet, so they dump it all at once. It's a great story. It's also false. Research on venom control found that juvenile rattlesnakes regulate their venom output just as effectively as adults do. The real difference is quantity, not control. Adults carry dramatically more venom overall, which generally makes an adult bite the more dangerous one, not the babies. This myth traces back to old media reporting from decades ago, and it stuck around partly because it sounds intuitive. It isn't accurate. So, snake sees you, you get bitten, you know the myths to avoid. What actually happens once you reach a hospital? For pit vipers, rattlesnakes, copperheads, cottonmouths, current guidance favors giving antivenom promptly once there are clear signs of envenomation, rather than waiting around to see how bad it gets. It's given through and for, and doctors keep monitoring things like swelling and blood clotting afterward, adjusting the dose as needed. One thing that surprises a lot of parents: kids generally get the same antivenom dose as adults. That sounds backwards, but dosing is based on how much venom is in the body, not the patient's size. Coral snakes are a genuinely different situation. Their venom, their symptoms, and their treatment all work differently from pit vipers, so hospitals don't just apply the same playbook. Their specific antivenom hasn't been made in years, and current FDA guidance keeps extending the shelf life of the existing supply because there's still no newly manufactured, licensed U.S. alternative. That scarcity is part of why some hospitals lean on closer monitoring for early nerve-related symptoms before committing a limited supply, rather than treating automatically in every case. Either way, the lesson is the same. Get to a hospital fast and let the professionals make that call. Don't try to judge severity yourself in the field. Remember the cottonmouth chasing people through the water story I mentioned earlier? What actually happens is usually much less dramatic. Cottonmouths tend to stand their ground rather than flee, and their real defensive move is coiling up and opening their mouth to show the white lining inside. A warning display, not an attack. What looks like chasing is often just a snake swimming toward the nearest cover, which happens to be in your direction. Given a clear escape route, they almost always take it away from you, not toward you. If you take exactly one thing from this video, make it this: you don't survive a snake encounter by fighting the snake, you survive it by doing less, not more. Less panic, less movement, less DIY first aid. Just distance, stillness, and a fast trip to real medical care. That single mindset shift is worth more than every home remedy combined. If this changed something you believed, hit subscribe. Next week I'm covering the outdoor threat that sends even more people to the ER every year, and almost nobody's prepared for it. Stay safe out there. I'll see you in the next one.